Welcome to Love Powered, the space where we engage in thought provoking, soul evoking, and heart opening conversations. My guest today is Anna, a dear friend of mine and a very powerful, wise, loving, and present human being, and more than a human being, a being of light and of love that to me is a great example of what it really means to choose love and to grow and expand our consciousness and transform our lives through love. I'll let you, Anna, introduce yourself, share with us what you think is important for the viewers and the listeners to know about you.
Well, first of all, thank you, Tati, for having me here in this beautiful space that you have created. Thank you for that beautiful introduction also. I felt it deeply in my heart. Thank you so much. And well, I am a integrative coach and a psychotherapist. I've been creating my own methodology of accompanying people into transforming part of their lives that are they're not serving them anymore, and connecting to those parts that they don't want to see, they don't want to acknowledge, that brings pain or suffering into the memories, and allow them and giving them tools and techniques to transform and transmute that pain, that suffering into love, from love, so they can live a lighter life and a better, I don't like to say a better version of themselves. I like to see it like an upgrade of that version, like when we learn how to transform that, we become light beings, and we start enjoying life and enjoying every part of life. So it's just a change in perspective and how we approach to our relationship with our environment and the people around us and our lives, our jobs, and all the parts that we are holistic beings at the end.
Absolutely, that's beautiful. I love your perspective on it. Not better because it's our analytical mind who compares better or worse, but in the heart, in the true essence of our heart, it's all good. It's just which version of us can thrive.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've suffered plenty, um, humanity, and each of us individually too. And why do you think it's important for you to do this kind of work right now and in general? Why do you have this drive to help people in that way?
Well, I feel that we are in a very important moment of humanity's process. We are transitioning. We are in this big transition. And for me, it's more of learning from love than learning from suffering. As you said, we already suffer enough. And pain it's part of who we are in terms of pain is information. Pain allows us to move, and that's okay, and that's good. Suffering is putting the stories in our minds into the pain and attaching to that, attaching to the identity of what is that pain bringing me and how does that pain makes me the way I am. So I feel that the evolution of the consciousness, that it's been evolving since the beginning of time, it's in a transition. It's growing, it's evolving. We are living as humanity, the little kids and becoming adolescents and starting to feel different, to understand that there is a lot more into experienced life than just suffering, being the victim, or blaming outside for what's happening inside.
That's a paradigm shift
Exactly.
to not as important as I believe our life's experiences are to us, because they do shape who we are. But it is so important to not let that identity be the end all be all of your life, knowing that there is more to our own journey, more to our own expression of who we are, right? And changing that perspective, changing that paradigm, and finally growing out of arrested development that we are all in.
Mm-hmm.
Because humanity is at, or was for a very long time, at that maturity where the ego, and I love the ego, but that thinking brain, the analytical mind, is front and center.
Mm-hmm.
And we are moving into more of a heart-centered approach.
Mm-hmm. That what you said is part of the evolution. That's why we are evolving all the time. We are dynamic beings. So understanding that ego, that primary brain, it's also evolving too. At the beginning, we were afraid of everything because we didn't know. Uncertainty creates fear. So we don't know the world around us. And you can see it, and you can use the analogy also with the little child. When a baby is born, he doesn't understand, or what is good or bad. It just feels what it's pleasant or unpleasant, and cries if it's painful, or laugh and it enjoys when it's pleasure. So it's the same thing with humanity. We are growing, and we are learning, and we are learning also how to um, create a better relationship with our environment, so it won't be
Yes.
so threatening to us as species.
Yeah. So where do you believe this evolution will take us? What is the world that you are creating through your work and in your own personal evolution? Because I know how
Hmm.
much you've evolved, and I've only known you for a couple of years. And what's
Hmm.
the world you are creating? What's that
That's a very good question.
future you see?
I truly believe, I have like a certainty that we are creating a new humanity. Although, picture it, it's like difficult because I I've been working on being present and allowing this nothingness to show me the opportunities. So what I can tell you is that when you feel, or when I feel more present, more whole, more complete, I can walk and I can show myself to the world with my heart open. And how would a world that the majority of the people walk with a heart open would look like? Hmm, I'm not sure. I know it's going to be beautiful.
Infinite possibilities.
Exactly. And I have this
But
be beautiful, but
how does it feel, that world or that life of someone who lives with their heart open?
well, for me, there's a lot of joy, happiness, like laughter. That's for me a world when you can, wake up and have a little dance and look the day ahead of you with a smile and curiosity. And it's like living from the child, but from the innocence of a child. So that for me, that's how I feel. And that's how I try to live every day of my life. And it's not that you're not going to have, you know, things that disturb you or things that, make you feel uncomfortable. But as I said, like feeling the uncomfortable and looking at that as the learning experience. Okay, I'm not feeling happy, I'm not feeling joy, I'm feeling maybe discomfort, maybe I feel that my heart is shutting down, that maybe there's something I said that didn't feel good. So emotions like shame or guilt come. Okay, let me allow that. Let me allow that and see what is that information. Because in the evolution process, it's not like black or white. We still evolving. So connecting to that is the information to keep evolving. Because if we are pure joy and bliss, we're like beings, not humans. So where does that begin and where does that end?
I guess that's an evolving thing, right? Like you said, an evolution. It's not a straight line. It's not black and white. It's not this or that. And then I guess it's also different for each person because all of us experience different things and all of us live in a different world, meaning in what that world we perceive to be. And you mentioned shame and guilt. And in my own evolution, in my journey, I've experienced a lot of that. And I see it very present in a lot of people as I said, each of us have that own journey and own evolution and certain things we are personally working through, but then I see these collective themes of guilt and of shame, collective that shaped who we are as humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and as you said, we are in our own processes, we are unique, and we have our own experience, and we are in different paths. And what it's important also is to connect to that uniqueness. And that evolution is different for each of every one of us. So we decide, how do we evolve also. We decide how much of opening my heart, how fast, how deep.
yeah, it's a highly personalized and unique experience for each one of us. So what would be, I like a practical spirituality, the one that's applied into my life. So what would be, I don't want to say a first step, but what would be your guidance to someone who is experiencing a lot of contrast in their life and a lot of suffering and a lot of guilt or shame or any other emotion that they are transforming? What would be your message to them?
I love that. I love that question because we can think a lot and we can feel a lot. But if we don't take action towards what we want, nothing is going to change. nothing is going to transform. You're not going to see things happening. And I mean act like taking responsibility for what you think and what you feel and those steps. And also being aware, learn how to observe and not absorb. Learn how to be, as Michael Singer said, the observer of the experience. Or, like Dr. Joe, changing the habit of being yourself. So we have many things outside, but I am very practical. I have a method, I have a methodology that you can use emotionally and mentally. And the first steps, it's really creating space in silence to feel what you need to feel. And observe yourself in a situation that it's uncomfortable for you. Okay. If you don't have a good relationship with your mom or your sister or your boss or your partner or whatever, pick one. Just pick one. And with intention, say to yourself, this is an experiment. I'm going to experiment to make a change, to say something different, to feel and observe the feeling. So you pick one and you say, okay, my boss. Every time that I have an encounter with my boss, he tells me that I have done wrong, that I'm not enough, or that I have to do more, or the thing that it was expected of me was not right. Whatever it is, the situation that you know is repeating in your life. So you go there with this intention. This is an experiment. And you sit there and you observe the situation. You breathe and you put yourself like in a tower of observation. And you see the situation as like you're seeing in a movie, a picture, a movie, a frame. So you connect to that and just observe the feeling inside of you. And you're just going to observe the feeling and the thoughts that comes in that particular situation. And you just simply, say yes, no, whatever, and bring that. When you're in your home, when you're in your house, you bring that. You create the space in silence and you connect to that memory and you sit with that and you bring the thought and bring the feeling and start connecting to that. And with the breath, because the breath is a tool, the most powerful tool that we have. With the breath, you start breathing into the feeling and noticing your body where that feeling is. Like if it's anger, if it's impotent, if it's frustration, if it's sadness, if it's just connect to the feeling and allow the feeling to be in your body and notice where in your body do you feel that. And with the breath, create space, open space. If it's in the chest, in the stomach, maybe it's in the head or in the hands, just create space with the breath and allow that feeling to be and ask that feeling, why are you here? What is the information that you are bringing me? And notice what comes to you. And that would be like the huge, big step for you. Because if you really pay attention, you're going to get some information that you won't expect. That a memory, a phrase, a person is going to come like a memory, an image. It's going to come to you. So you can start working what it's inside of you. What is that feeling bringing? Because all the feelings are information. It's that something that you wanted or went too far?
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. I love how practical that is, how easy it is to apply in your life and to do that. And that brings so much awareness. And awareness is, for me, well, responsibility, you mentioned that. And awareness is the first step. When I know of something like that present in me, the feeling, the emotion, and the thoughts behind those feelings and emotions, well, then I can take that information and I can do something with it. I don't need to, just, okay, that's the way it is. Yes, that's the way it is. But I have the personal power to take that information and do something with it and start transforming or working with that feeling, or even allowing that feeling and being present with it, acknowledging that, yeah, that's how I feel. I think there is a big disconnect in our world of us not allowing our feelings to
Mm-hmm.
come to the surface. We all want to experience joy and love, and it's fun, totally. But then there is so much grief and so much sadness in us. And like you said, anger and frustration. And I notice in my work, when people are faced with unpleasant, let's say, emotions, this is when they get resistant to
Mm-hmm.
continuing with it, with the work, because it does take a lot of courage and a lot of strength to accept the fact that that's how you feel.
Yeah, because
I
we are brought up like telling us you have to be good, you have to be good all the time. And all those feelings are labeled bad feelings. And they're not bad feelings, they're just feelings that we need in order to survive, to set boundaries, to allow ourselves that relationship with the environment, to belong. Because if you don't feel shame, how do you know that you want to belong to something? Shame is part of like, I'm not accepted. I'm not like, I don't feel the requirements to be in this group, or I'm not good enough. And that shows that you care also to belong to something. So there's always a part of, positive or negative of every emotion. And yes, you have to be brave.
So, how did you become so brave?
I really, I think that, and I think that that's one of the parts that's been very important for me, because I feel I had a very complicated childhood in order of my upbringing. And for me, I'm the first of four kids. And I always had like this, the first one, you have to feel the expectations. And I was raised in a very um, uh, overachiever family. So it was,
Lots
I
of
was,
pressure.
yeah, a lot of pressure. And I was always competing. And I compete in sports, and I compete, and I had to found what was happening inside of me. But I feel there was always something inside of me that drove me into move forward. And I went through a lot of pain and suffering, and I had a divorce with my kids. I had my kids when I was very young, so I feel that also my kids were the driver for me, to show them love, to show them. But we also suffer a lot because I was a single mom with them, so it was like that. I know there's a way of.
You have 4 kids, by the way. I just want our listeners to know she has 4 kids.
Okay. Yeah. And um it was a way of teaching myself through them that there was a way of living in love. I always knew there has to be a way of getting rid of all this drama, like everything was a drama, like good, bad, the judgment, people talking about people. Oh, this one is divorced. This one is, so rich or poor or black or white, or there was so much drama about differentiating, when I was growing up, not just in my family. My family was very, compassionate in many ways, but in society, in different kind of cultures, it's like always separation, and focusing on the separation, and like, and putting labels, this is good and this is bad. So I always knew that there was a way of living peace and harmony, and like, and I pursue that all my life. So I think that for me, and that's why I specialize in, going into the pain, and allowing and when people come to my sessions, the first thing that I say to them, like, hey, this is going to be unpleasant, so if you're really committed and you allow yourself to feel uncomfortable, okay, I guarantee you that you're gonna, be successful and get what you want to get out of it. But if you're not brave and you're not allowing yourself on looking all those parts, because we tend to, that's why it's so difficult to do inner child work, because the child never wants to see their parents in a bad way. Oh no, my dad, okay, he did this, but he was my dad and he loved me very much. And we're making excuses. And it's not to judge our parents or judge our culture or our families, it's to acknowledge that what happened affected us. And how we perceive it was how I created my identity in order to survive and thrive. So that's why the labels are the ones that are not allowing us to go deep within us. The attachment to the identity. So I don't know if I
Yeah.
got a little lost in this
I
process.
asked you how you became so brave, but that's I know what you mean. I know where you are leading with this is that, yeah. Well, that brings me to my question, because, and I know you and I have discussed this before or have contemplated this before. Something that you said reminded me of that question of how certain life experiences as a child created this identity. Do you believe that we are able to evolve, or is that the world we are creating where there is no need for contrast to teach us love?
I feel the contrast, it's always going to be there. Because in this human world, we are wired and we are dual. Movement comes from two opposites. Electrons go from negative to positive, positive to negative. I don't remember which one they go now, but they need to move towards, there's a positive and there's a negative, in meaning about energy. Okay? So, and there's nothing in this world that evolves or grow out of peace. A seed needs to break in order for the stem to come and to grow. A butterfly must, die in acid inside to become a butterfly. So my proposal is allowing the pain without the suffering. We need the adversity creates strength. We need stress. We are wired to grow from stress. It's like a cold plunge. All the benefits that a cold plunge can bring you. And it's a stressful situation. You put your body on purpose into a stressful situation for what? For regulating your neurotransmitters, activating the brown fat, releasing white fat to feel more peace, calm, focus, allow your metabolism to be better, faster. There's a lot of benefits, but you need to put yourself into a stress. But what you do in a cold plunge is what you need to do with your emotions. You feel them, okay? But you don't believe the stories in your mind that you're dying. Because when you go into the cold plunge, the 31st seconds of the cold plunge, you think that you're going to die, but you're not. So it's the same thing.
And that is the ego death. Even allowing yourself to die in that way, to surrender to that pain, to that uncomfortable feeling of, being in the cold plunge or being with your emotions and not attaching to them.
Mm-hmm.
And not letting that story and that idea of who you are be the character of your life, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And I believe where we are going, we can learn from love. Because even if, or even when the things happen in our environment, how we meet them, with what kind of presence and what kind of regulated nervous system. Because I didn't have that model of growing up in my family of a regulated adults raising children, but I have seen other people who have that model, and what kind of maturity and what kind of safety they received through their experience. So I believe it is possible for all of us to receive that kind of environment and to be, nourished by our parents or by the adults in our life or by the tribe and by the village and by the society too.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so important that there's a few things that I feel we need to get the information out. And it's building healthy boundaries. It's so important. So important. For people, it's so difficult to say no because we feel that we are offending other. We are not, we're creating a conflict, or we are, making the other people feel bad. And there's nothing more healthy than a no. No, I can't now. But we feel that in order to have a boundary, we need to fight. It's part of the growing process, understanding. And this is also a thing that I work a lot with people. Like, how are you going to create healthy boundaries in your life for you from self love? And also, you said about the ego. And I don't want people to think that the ego is a bad thing, because there's a tendency also to think about the ego as a bad thing. And the ego is just that everything that we put in our backpacks, in our subconscious mind, all the experiences, good or bad, pleasant, unpleasant, that, and the concept that those experiences and those perceptions, are creating my own identity. So we are in constant interaction with our environment, and we are putting that into that backpack. And those are things that we are going to validate and repeat. Every time that a situation is similar to something that I already experienced, so my brain is going to look for the known. Oh, I already felt this. And you're going to act the same or very similar to how you acted the first time you experienced that. So the ego is that, really. is all those backpack behaviors, experiences that it's like an imprint that your brain is going to look for in order to act in the present. So
Yeah.
what
To
we
preserve
do
energy, really.
exactly biologically, it's to preserve energy, because creating new ways, it's a really um um energizing action.
I mean, it requires a lot of energy.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So the
A lot of
brain,
resource.
exactly. So the brain is going to always look for the known to preserve that energy. And what we, a very good friend and teacher of mine always said, like, mind and ego, mi amigo. It's because we need to understand that the mind and the ego are our friends. And really, what we do is to, instead of seeing your mind as your enemy, my mind is telling me this or that, or my ego, I have to, kill my ego in order to become the person that I want to become. It's like create an ally out of them. Like, how can I see my ego and see how this is not serving me anymore, but I can negotiate with the ego. And, I allow me to take this and I'm going to put this back. And allow me to take this and I'm going to put this back. Or let me transform this. Or let me transmute this. And you use your mind as an ally too. So, but this comes with a lot of inside reflection and connecting to the inside knowledge that we have in practice. Practice, practice, practice. Buddha always said, like, is 1% theory, 99% practice in all of the things
Yeah.
that we do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I do in my heart math practice. That's what heart math does, is that every time you practice and every time you choose a different outcome, a different feeling to replace the other one, and a different action, a different other one. I didn't want to identify as bad or negative. No, just, yes. There is a regenerating feelings, regenerative, the ones that give us more energy and more life force, and then the ones that deplete us. So let's call them depleting feeling or
Perfect. I love
depleting
it.
thought,
I love it.
destructive thought that, exactly, or responding differently to that situation that you always respond the same. Every time we do it, we are rewiring our brain. Every time we choose a different outcome, we are creating a new neural connections and a new baseline for us to eventually learn that as that automatic learned behavior that we carry in our backpack, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
And then in your backpack, you have a bunch of, feelings and thoughts that are promoting your thriving and promoting your wealth and health and well-being versus taking away from it. And then that's when your ego becomes your amigo.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can choose how you're gonna show up in the world, because it's a choice that we make every second, every minute, every hour, every day of our lives. It's a choice. How do I want to show up?
Who are you showing up in the world right now as?
I I really wanna. I have this very motherly energy, compassion, and because I feel that what we need right now is an ear to listen carefully and compassion to understand the path. So that is really what I wanna give, and as I want to show up, like a person that you can come to and know that it's going to listen to you and it's not going to judge you, even though you say whatever it is that you need to say.
You're already showing up as that. You said, I want to. You're already that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
To your
right.
family, to your friends, to your clients, to the people you guide.
Yeah.
It's a very noble desire and a very noble expression of who we are. We do need compassion. We do need care and acceptance. And you
Mm-hmm.
do give all of that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I think that everybody that's listening can choose, can choose that. And it's not to be in a certain way. We tend to use like mask, like I'm in the work this way, I'm in the, with my family this way, I'm with my friends this way. And it's okay because everything, uh, the environments are different, they're more threatening than others. But in your heart, it's a decision that you make in your heart. It's not about what's outside. It's if you have to go to your work and your work is threatening and people is, conflicted and whatever, you need to do the things that you need to do. But in your heart, you present yourself as you want to feel and what you want to receive and give. So that's a very deep, connection that I would love for people to try to. Just try to.
I, lo- I love that. Um, Couple things come to mind or to heart. um, that's saying that, well, first of all, I have been practicing this in my life now more actively than before. Staying open in my heart, regardless of the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is my true self, how I go separate from my true self and put on those masks and act and feel differently around certain situations or circumstances or people, and bringing myself back into my heart, because that's not the truth of who I am. For me, acting certain way or even feeling certain way. And that's the awareness, asking yourself why and noticing your energy and noticing the intentions. Why is it as, a safety? Is it this or is it that? Even if someone or something outside of you telling you everything to close your heart and to act in those ego-based or mind-based safety responses. Because opening your heart kind of feels like it's safe, it's very safe, but it's that feeling is uncomfortable for a lot of people because we want to protect it.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that every time you do that, when you close your heart, you're not serving anyone, and especially you're not serving yourself and your highest good.
Mm-hmm.
So how, learning and practicing to continue staying in your heart and not lowering your vibration. That's kind of the same thing, vibration of love versus vibration of fear, of anger, of frustration. Is that every time I experience that, I'm not serving myself. I'm not serving the highest expression of me. I'm not serving my heart. And it does not affect anyone outside. It only affects me.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's the important thing, that it doesn't have to be with your surroundings, with your environment, with that people or that another person, or it's just have to do with you and your heart. And like as we said in the beginning, like we're getting into adolescence. What do adolescents do? Learn how to feel really what they want to feel. Learn how to create healthy boundaries. Detach from mom and dad. Starting the path of being an adult. An adult, it's a person that can be responsible for himself mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
We are learning how to open our heart. And if you can imagine, a 13-year-old girl or boy going for, a reunion with friends for the first time, or, like, how do you feel? You're afraid to show yourself of who you really are or how you feel, but you want to be part of it. And it's that process of I'm open, I feel, oh no, I close. I open, I feel, and I close. And that's the learning. And it's painful sometimes, yes, but that is where we're heading, to that learning process. Everything is a learning experience. Everything.
Yeah.
If you see life really as an experiment, you will enjoy life a lot more, and you can have better results. You can, lose the expectations, lose or detach from the outcome, just experience as an adventure. And that doesn't mean that you plan ahead, of course, because I just felt the mind of the listeners telling me, like, oh, but you need to plan for the future. Yes, we need to plan for the future with no expectations. We create a path, but knowing that that path can change, knowing that it could be better opportunities while I'm in that path and I am allowed to change. That's very important, because we tend to focus on something and then, feel bad because we didn't accomplish what we needed or what we thought we needed. But allowing us to feel like it's an experiment. I'm going to experiment. I'm creating this path. I create a hypothesis, and then I move towards that. But if something in the way changes, or I discover something new, something different, I have the ability and, the power, as you said, to change that without feeling guilty or without feeling that I didn't accomplish this in this particular way. So being present, creating and plan ahead, being present in the moment, combining that. It's, for me, it's one of the things that has helped me a lot to show myself one day at a time, as I feel, with my heart open. And sometimes it closes, yes. Sometimes I have a fight with my husband, yes. But I don't stay attached to that emotion. That's very important. I got that the other day when I was meditating. And something in my head went like, okay, feel it all without attachment. Because I was like, okay, like, how do we, you know be more in the world? And that came to me like, you don't have to be attached to the feeling. Feel it all without attachment. And that includes pleasure, everything that gives you pleasure, as equal as everything that doesn't, or that feels uncomfortable. But we tend to attach to the suffering, as we said at the beginning. So it's a practice. Now I'm practicing that, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm also
Yeah.
keep working and, moving forward. So that's the new practice for me. Like, feel it and detach. Feel it and detach.
Yeah.
Let's see how that works.
Yeah. Because the emotions are all, you know, like you said, we attach to suffering and to those emotions, but then as easily we attach to good feelings and good emotions, and we get hooked on either. And non-attachment is definitely a practice.
Yes.
And are there any words of wisdom, guidance that, or any messages that are coming through that you'd like to share with the audience?
I feel that we share a beautiful conversation. But to summarize it, I would just bring that pain is okay. See if you're suffering. What is the story in your mind about that suffering? Detach from the outcome. It's a very important part. Feel it all without attachment and enjoy, experience life. Create the best experiment that you want to create. I don't know if you have
And
what.
have fun while doing it.
Thank you. Yes.
Fun and easy and joyful. We can bring that into every experience. Have a little bit of humor with it too,
Exactly.
right?
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
Right. That was beautiful. It was very, very beautiful. Thank you, Anna, for joining us. Thank you for bringing your wisdom, for bringing your light and your love and your open heart into this space, and for sharing with us all your life experiences
Thank
and
you,
your
Tati.
guidance.
Honored to be here with you. Really.
Thank you. Thank you.